So he's talking about the priest. He says, you know the truth, and yet you deny it in order for profit in gold, silver, and goods, and enrich yourselves at the expense of the poor. Misguided people. You mislead and exploit them in the name of faith. So that's similar to the churches as well, because you have to give 10% of your income. They requested of you to donate into the offering plate. But what if people are struggling, and a lot of people are struggling, and they still expect that of them, no matter their circumstance? So they use faith and guilt in order to get you to donate that 10% to the church. And that's why he's saying that you're profiting off the people, and all in the name of faith. So it's like Immanuel didn't care about anybody's reputation, but only about the laws of God and the laws of creation. So constantly the priests are trying to trick him to get him to go against the teachings that are in the Bible that they've been teaching, and go against the laws as well that are within the system at the time. So there was this situation where they tell Jesus that, oh, so what about people paying their taxes? You don't think that people should pay their taxes and give to their kings? So because he's only talking about creational laws and God's laws, and those are the laws that you must abide by, they're questioning him that what about the kings and emperors' laws? Should people pay their taxes? Because that's not God or creation. And then Jesus is witty, and he responds like this, where he says, whose face is on the coin? The emperor's? So Jesus said, give to the emperors when it is the emperor's, and give to God what is God, and give to creation what is creation. So it's like, if you're making money off of the emperor, a business and you're receiving the emperor's money, his face is on it, then you must pay your taxes, because that money was given to you by the emperor, basically. But what God requires of you and what creation requires of you, then you must give according to those laws. So again, he's saying that God and creation are different, and you must give according to each one of them, and you have to give to both of them. So he never blatantly tells you why you must give to God, but based on the knowledge within this, he tells you that God created the 3 human lineages. So because God created this human body, and I guess this advanced consciousness through his DNA, that's why we must give to him. But at the same time, people didn't ask for that. They didn't request that to be given that. So we're given to someone that we didn't ask for it. So we didn't ask or have a choice over being created in terms of creation, creating our soul, or God creating this human body and giving us this advanced consciousness. But same way children didn't ask to be created, and we just created them. They didn't have a choice over it. They just came into existence through us making that decision for them. So technically we have free will now that we're created, but we didn't have free will before. So just because we didn't choose whether we were created or not, although they say that when we go back up into the light and the reincarnation loop, we have a choice over coming back and who we come back to. However, I don't know if that's true or not, so I'm not going to go based on that. I'm just going to go based on the simple things that I know are facts. We came into this world. When we come into this world, we don't know, we don't have a choice. I'm just going to go based on pretending that I have no information on anything. So when children come into this world, and when our soul came into this world, we didn't have a choice on whether it was created or not, because we have no knowledge of whether we had a choice on whether we decided to come into existence or not. Just like creation didn't have a choice whether it came into existence and had that advanced consciousness and is the ruler of the galaxies, let's say. So like Socrates, I'm just going to ask a question for you guys to ponder on, and maybe I'll have some answers for it too as I'm talking it through. But children didn't ask to come into creation, right? Each one of us that have a mother and father, we didn't ask to be created. So when we come into existence, just because we didn't ask or choose to come into existence, doesn't mean that there's not rules that we have to follow when we come into this existence. We have to follow our parents' rules, or else there's consequences to that if we don't follow their rules. So I'm always talking about, why do we have to follow God's laws? Why can't we just follow creational laws if creation is the one who created our soul? But this whole sentence about how if the emperor's face is on the coin, then we have to give to the emperor, just got me thinking about the whole system and how it works. So if kids didn't ask to be created and didn't have a choice, then is that just how the system works? Like this whole creation aspect? So just like if kids don't follow their parents' rules, then there's consequences. They get things taken away from them, they don't get rewards, they don't get perks. So is that how the system works? That if we don't follow God's laws because he created this advanced consciousness in this human body and we're living in his dome, then things are taken away from us. We endure more struggles because we're not following and abiding by his laws. And then again, if we're not abiding by creational laws, then we're not perfecting our spirit, we're not becoming one with source, and then we have to come back in this reincarnation loop and again try again and close out the karmic lessons and keep repeating the cycle. And I think every time we come back, we struggle and we suffer more because we're not learning from those lessons. However, if we're learning from those lessons, then when we come back, it's not going to be as much of a struggle because we're closing up the cycles if we're choosing the path of learning and growth. Like, it's like who's in charge of what, basically. So, for example, we have to pay our taxes or else we're going to get in trouble and there's consequences and we could end up in jail. So that's why we pay our taxes, because we're in this matrix system and we have no choice over it unless we choose to give up our birth certificate and live off the land and not be a part of the system and not make income off the system. However, now let's talk about reincarnation. Is it creation that's responsible for reincarnation, or is it God that's responsible? So why do we have to follow God's laws? What is the purpose of following God's laws? Is it because he keeps trapping us in this reincarnation loop? I feel like reincarnation was created by the creator because we go to different planets. If we weren't stuck in this dome, then we would go to different planets. Or maybe we're not stuck in this dome and none of us have reached that level of enlightenment and overcoming all our karmic lessons, so we have to keep coming back to the same place over and over again. So it's like none of us really know the truth, and that's why it's like constantly asking the same questions until you find information that reaffirms or contradicts it, so you can ponder on it and find out what the truth is. But none of us really know the truth. Let's say we weren't stuck in a reincarnation loop, okay? Then would our soul go back to source and then he would send us to another planet that we vibrate on? So would we go to another planet that we vibrate at, or would we still be coming back to Earth because we haven't learned the lessons that we needed to here and we haven't closed out this cycle? Or once we close out the cycle, if we're able to escape, then would we just go to another dimension or another planet with a higher frequency? Or are there levels that we're supposed to be going up? It's like there's so much information that how does it really all work at the end of the day?